Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's Hump Day, and today we are doing City Blocks Part 3. Super excited about that. So, looking forward to that. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're all having a good week so far. Again, we're going to be doing the City Blocks Part 3. It's going to be fun. All right, now before I start, there are some announcements that I do want to make. That first one is if you go over into if you're opening up Inkarnate and you've logged in and you go and you see the little bell in that top corner, if you put your mouse over it, it says see what's new. We got a new art, the Hell Pack. Oh, super awesome. Love the Hell Pack. The artist did a great job. Go ahead and make sure to go to your announcements and notifications and just check it out because wow, look at this wonderful map by Brian Marshall. And here's just a sneak peek of the new stamps. Now they're not collapsed, but there's a lot more than that. Also new textures, and there's some maps. One made by myself, by Cheryl, and the other by Philip. So if you're excited about this, you should go check it out. Hellpack is awesome. Again, artist did a killer job. Exciting, right? Hey, first time chat, welcome. Glad to have you here. Psychotic rabbit. Love it. Love it. Love when new people come on in. So check out that Hell Pack, okay? Hell Pack looks awesome. Super cool. Love the art. Again, the artist slayed it, so that's cool. I only have just one more announcement to make, and that concerns... Oh, by the way, if you're wondering where that Hell Pack art is, I'm sorry, I didn't mention this. It's in the battle maps, fantasy battle map style. So go check that out. And if you go into the catalog, open it up, and just type in Hell, or go onto the left part of the panel and just select the Hell Pack, and it will show you everything in the Hell Pack. So that's pretty cool. The other announcement that I wanted to make real quickly is that starting next month, we're only going to be doing one stream a week moving forward. So that's going to be on Wednesday, 10 a.m. PST, okay? And that's just so that I have more time to prep for streams and to provide more content, shorter videos for those of you who don't have, maybe an hour or 2 hours to go over it. So more planned streams, more planned out means a little bit shorter. So I'm going to try to cap it at an hour today so that way that you can enjoy the rest of your day. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So I'm going to go create city blocks. This is part 3. So we made a bunch already. I'm going to edit the map. I'm going to open it up. And I think today we're going to make a garden. So that's going to be really cool. I'm excited about that. Hey, WH Publications, welcome. Glad you're here. I love it. New faces is awesome. We're going to let it load, open up. Just give it a moment to open. Yeah, I'm really glad that you are here. I absolutely love doing these streams. These are fun. And city blocks can be, they can be kind of a hassle, kind of a hard to tackle. You're not sure like where to start with it and how to approach it, because big cities are very complex. There's so much to do, and really it's just block after block after block. So once you kind of get the general idea on how to make one block, it'll be easier for you to piece them all together. So that's kind of the purpose of this stream series, is so that you can figure out how to make one block, and you follow those steps for one block, then you'll know how to make another. And then from there, you can piece them together. So we'll go over how to do all that. Another first time chat, welcome. Clueless wasn't. I'm glad that you're here. So I'm thinking of making a park. And so I'll give you just a quick breakdown on what I did here, is that I just put some squares in here with the grid tool, and I made little sections so that way we can kind of isolate them, but also keep them together so that way you can see what it looks like as a whole. Because I know it's kind of like, well, it's hard to know how good a city block looks if it's not up against another one, right? So that's why we've set it in this format. So let's not waste any time. We're going to make a park, and I really, really like parks. And one thing about a park is if you're figuring out where in my city should a park be, well, it should probably be closest to maybe a more upper class neighborhood they're going to have parks surrounding maybe theirs that kind of separates them between them and their other classes as well. So it's always nice to put a park, and if it's a large park for everybody in a more egalitarian kind of society that you have for your city, then maybe you want to make it a central focus because it shows it's like a park for everybody. So just think about your city and think about all that blocks and where things are in location, because sometimes it's hard to know where to put each block. Like, where should my market be in comparison to my dockyard, right? See, I put the market next to the dockyard because that's where merchant goods would then go to, right? So think carefully about your placement of your block. So we're going to do a park first. And what I like to do is just to make the roads first. And for the roads, all I did was just use a path tool. And I used the blend mode hue because this way, if I'm putting down, and I'll lighten it just a little bit as well, maybe go with white. See if it fits better. Let me try that. I think that's better. We'll take a look. Yeah, that works fine. But I'm using that hue for paths for a specific reason for my road, because if I go over it, then it won't go. Oops, I'm having a difficult time here. Let me go out real quick. Oh, I'm in the wrong editing resolution. That explains it. So I'm using this particular path for a reason, because the hue allows for the roads to overlap properly, because if they don't, then it looks kind of weird because it goes twice fold on top of each other unless the opacity is at 100%. I'll reload the map at 2K. All right, cities, here we go. Awesome. There we go. Probably will be a little bit easier there. So when I take this path and I cross over another one, it doesn't, if you zoom in close, you'll notice that it doesn't show any overlap. It just seamlessly goes over it. So that's why I like to use this particular path and use a white with the hue blend mode, and of course turn off your shadows. This way, when you're making your roads, you can delete them, add new ones, change them, rotate them. It allows for you to make your roads a little bit more modular, so it's easier for you to put them together. That's why I use that. If you paint them, then you have to repaint over it and then repaint the road again. But with a path, it's not quite as bad, so it's nice to use this path, okay? All right. So when you're making your block, you're always going to start with first a kind of a sketch, right? That's what most artists do when they do a composition, is they create a sketch. And the way I'm going to set up this garden is I think I'll make a circular centerpiece where people walk into, and then maybe around the edges there'll be like maybe some kind of either a maze, or I could use a series of designs, because I'm sure you've seen kind of gardens. You have a Pinterest or whatever, and you see those beautiful gardens, right? And there's all this different kind of work, different kind of plants, different kind of flowers, trees, and stuff like that. So I think we're going to have a little bit of diversity, but we want the overall palette, and by palette I mean color, to be green, right? As you would expect. Vegetation is green. So I'll continue with the path tool. So maybe I want to put something in each corner, like maybe a large tree to kind of represent like a large tree that kind of caps each corner. So what's great about path tools, you can copy and paste. So I didn't have to make it 4 times. I just copied to paste and put it each one in there. Simple as that. So the central piece, and then I'll probably going to want to line, obviously, I want to line maybe each section with kind of a row of some flower beds. So I can copy and paste. Just say that there are 2 like this, and that you get the general idea. So I think maybe a maze might take too much time. The objective for me will not to make this take 2 hours. I'm trying to cap it in an hour. So I won't make it too complex. And I'll show you some really cool tricks on how to make hedges, seamless hedges, so it doesn't look like just a bunch of bushes lined up against each other, because they have that black line work around the edge, and it won't look seamless like a hedge as you would expect. So I'll show you how to be doing that. And thank you, Guiche, very much. I appreciate that. I'm always excited to show you whatever you need to learn. Those points of interest are some of my favorite, and I've discussed it with other people as well, and we're going to make that an entire series, so I'm excited about that. And as I'm explaining that, I'll go ahead and just copy and paste each piece. like this. So it's just this is kind of my sketch. And I'm going to change this to where I'm going to make it black or white, change the blend mode, because this is not my roads. What this is instead is the sketch. So I'll change it back to normal. There we go. And I'll probably bring the width down a little bit. There we go. And then of course I can drop the opacity way down. That way the sketch is not getting in the way. It's not too distracting. Once I've selected everything in the sketch, all of those, I like to group it, of course. Once it's grouped, you hit that little pencil and you can rename the group. I'm just going to call it sketch. Boom, easy. Only took a few moments. That's why you want to use paths, because paths you can copy and paste, especially with a garden where you're going to expect possibly a little bit more symmetry because of the plants and where you're going to place them. And so that works really, really well, especially when you're using the path tool, right, with the symmetry. And welcome, dragons, dreams, and squirrels. Glad you're here. Okay, so now don't worry about your sketch being perfect, because that's exactly what it is. It's just a sketch. Make sure that the sketch, once it's grouped and labeled, that you bring it down to layer -5, so that way it's not going to be on top of the stamps you're placing. You want to place the stamps on top of the sketch, right? So layer -5. Of course, after you've done that, you can lock it. And what locking means is that you can't select it, because as you're placing stamps, because this has such a large bounding box, it's probably going to be really annoying to select individual stamps on top of this within that sketch, because that large collision box is going to get in the way, and that's very annoying. So make sure that you lock the selection, okay? And it's at layer -5. Now we can go ahead and start using some plants. Now there are a couple ways that you can create hedges. There should be a stamp specifically designed for it right here. This one's called Hedges, and this works just fine. You can go with this. There's a long one, so you can just do it quickly. And if you feel it's not wide enough, like maybe you want your hedges to feel like they're a little bit thicker, then you can go to transform and you can change that width and you make them a lot thicker. Now, of course, when you're doing that, you're also changing the line work. So whenever you're doing transform, just be sure to be careful when you're doing that, okay? Now we can also set scale as well first, and that's not too hard to do. We'll just go ahead and take a building. Let's take a singular building from the other blocks, and we're going to place it right here. So this garden is massive. Now your gardens or parks don't have to be square shaped. I'm just doing a symmetrical one because it's easy, but you can make the shape of your garden any way that you want, because parks generally aren't going to be a perfect square. Some of them are. Some of them might be, kind of like an oblong looking shape, and that looks cool. So you decide what your shape is first. I'm going to go with symmetrical because I think that will look more interesting. So now all I have to do is just copy and paste a couple of these together. It's not complex. I'm going to create one corner edge first. So I'll put them together like this. And I think even that looks like it's wandering off a little bit. So I might have to select the whole thing, rotate it just a bit. There we go. Make sure that they're straight. And of course, if it's not long enough, you can always go with the transform tool, and you can transform all of them by just transforming the height. Step 1, copy, paste, and then flip, rotate. Not complex. Push this all the way to this side. Okay, that looks good. Now I can go in and select all of them. And notice how the sketch is not being selected, so that's really useful, right? Remember to place that first stamp so that you have at least scale down, right? I'm just going to rotate it, finish that other corner. We'll piece these together. That works just fine for me. And I'll go ahead and center it a little bit more. There we go. All right, I'm going to keep that stamp over there for now. Well, and the center should be fine. All right, now once you've done that, there are a couple things that you can also do. You'll notice that the line work, look real carefully, you can see that there's a line right there. If you don't like that, you can totally remove that, and I'll show you how to do that. What works really well first is to go ahead and select my whole outer hedge rim and then group it. And then we can just call it either a wall or outer hedge. Okay. It's generally a good idea to group and label right away so that way, when you do have a lot of groups in your object section, you're not overwhelmed and clicking each one to find the right one. That's why it's always best to be nice and tidy and immediately label this. Am I guilty of doing this? Not doing that? Absolutely. Done it multiple times. All right, so now that that's been labeled, I can go ahead and open it back up because I'm going to make some changes inside of it and just take a smaller hedge. I'm going to turn off any shadows and go to blend mode lighten. Now what lighten will do is we're going to try to remove some of the line work in here. So lighten, I'm going to zoom in close so you can see it. And you're going to notice that that black line is gone because that lighten blend mode, make sure it's a layer above too, by the way, not below. And it's going to hide that line work. And so I'm going to do it to every spot that I can find that has a line. So that way I have seamless hedges. There we go. Some sweet hedges. All right, I'm going to do it to every single one of them. Those corners I'm probably going to do a little cheat because what I can tell you is that you can also hide a lot of things that you don't want seen on the map. It's just less work for you. No? I mean, you're never going to make it perfect. And so if you make a mistake, there are a lot of ways of fixing it. You don't have to do undo buttons. You don't have to change layers. You can just hide it with another stamp if you want. And I'll show you how to do that. There we go. Go up. There we go. Almost missed the line there. I think that's it. All right, cool. Now that that's completed, and it even gets some light, makes it a little lighter on the edge. I kind of like the way that looks. So let's go ahead and leave the group. Step 1, that's done. Perfect. Now I can go in and do the next step. Okay, I'm going to go in and just create the hedges for each one of these little boxes that I created. So I'll change the blend mode back to normal, of course. And it's a little long, so what I might want to do is just change the height just a little bit so it's nice and short. Then I can go in, just like I did before, create the box shape. And I want to actually make sure that I lock the outer hedge as well, because again, bounding box is so huge that when I go to select something within it, you'll notice that, it's going to get in the way. So we don't want to do that. Always good to lock those large groups. Okay. Boom, done. Now I can go in, group this. Okay, and I'm just going to call this square hedge. There we go. Enter. Done. Now I can go in and kind of place one in each corner, right? Just like I had done before. It's always nice to create a series of groups, and then you can just copy and paste them. So in other words, you're kind of creating a series of compositions with stamps. You're grouping them, labeling them, and then you can use it as like a palette, just like as if you had colors. You're using maybe a blue swatch, a red swatch. Instead, you have a series of composite groups that you can place around. And the garden is a great map to use for that kind of thing. All right, so I'll go ahead and continue, making sure that the distance is fairly the same. There we go. All right, so now that's done. See, not complex, pretty easy stuff. I should do the rest of the hedges first. And I think I can also go ahead, and I think there's a bunch of hedges right here. I think there's flower beds. Let's take a look. Yeah, there's a series of flower beds that you can use here. Lots of interesting shapes too. There's a flower bed composite here. Let's go ahead and zoom, expand this one as well, and see if, I think there might be some circular ones as well. Let me check. There we go. Circular ones are right here. Perfect. I don't know if it'll be the right size per se for this whole thing, but we can try it. Because the hard part with circles is that I can make one circle, and I'll show you real quick. And I might have to consider maybe making a geometrical shape instead of a full circle, because these circular pieces don't work well, and there is a method to go around making more precise circles. So let me piece these four together. This is what you would normally do to create a hedge circle, right? Let me push this down a little bit. The line work's not lined up. Let's see if I go ahead and group and put these together. The thing is that if I scale this up, you'll notice there's a complete discrepancy in the size, okay? That is clearly not going to work, and that is the hedges that are about as thick as a house. I mean, those are some thick hedges. What can I say, right? That's not going to do, of course, right? So you're not going to do that. Now, I can still keep that hedge if I want to. I can place that there, and I can use it later. But for now, what I'll end up having to do is put a series together. And what I'll do is I'll just make 1/4 of the circle. Okay, so I'll show you how I'll do that. It's not complex, pretty easy stuff. So what I'll do is I'll just make a circle first, and I'm going to create the wedge first. So that way I have something to work with. Actually, I'll use that same one. Sorry, I don't know why I'm doing that. That way they're the same length. Copy, paste, rotate. Okay, now from this point to this point, I'm going to create a hedge circle. So we're just making 1/4 of the pie first. And of course, you're going to have to use smaller pieces. Now, I know that this strange banana-shaped one, it looks kind of weird, and that's okay. And all you're going to do is just rotate these ever so much. Maybe about 10 degrees, maybe a couple degrees, not a whole lot. Okay, we're almost there. One more. There we go. Oops, that one just vanished for some weird reason or another. There we go. Okay. Now, I think this is right. I might be off a little bit. We'll see. Let's go ahead and group these first, and then I'm going to copy and paste and put them together to make sure it's done right. This is just the way these complex circles this is just the way you kind of have to do it for now, until we get something goodies to fix that problem. Because don't worry, that's the part of the plan. All right, so now I've got a half circle, and let's go bring it in a little bit more, and then I can go in. I'm going to go ahead and delete my guide. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Don't do that, people. I'm sure that's never happened to you before, right? Where you accidentally delete something. Oopsie. Okay, here we go. All right, and I'm going to now copy and paste these two pieces, half circle, now a full circle. It all comes for full circle, you know what I'm saying? All right, I think that looks fine, so let's just go with that. There we go, and now we have a circle for the center. Nice. And because we have that second ring right there, we can throw in a second ring. I think that'd be kind of fun, right? All right. Select this second ring. There we go, and I can put it in the center. Bullseye. All right, there we go. I think that's good. Let's go ahead and... I'm not sure, but I don't think that is being selected. Let's save. We're at 159 changes. Hey, Eclipse Storm, welcome. Glad you're here. We're going to save. I'm going to refresh the page. I think this looks good so far. I don't know if that circle is perfectly in the center. We'll have to find out as we place more stamps, but I think that's dang close. I'm going to refresh the page real quick. We're a half hour in. We're getting close. We're going to put in the hedges first, and then I'll put in the flower beds, and then I'll put in trees. Okay, I'm also going to explain a little bit about depth, so that will be fun. Let me just go back here. Having some fun there. All right. Here we go. Thank you for bearing with. All right, sweet. We're going to keep going. Just going to edit the map. Here we go. Oh, my eyes. It's blinding me. Sorry about that. All right, gardens. Yes, I'm loving it. Let this load up. Thank you for bearing with me on this. It's always good to save about 100 plus changes or so. And the only way to like really get rid of all the history so you don't have a lot of lag is just to, after you save, go ahead and just refresh the page. So that way you can kind of clear your map history. Because as that history grows, the more changes you add, the more it's going to fill up kind of the history, and it's going to cause possibly lag depending on the stats of your map and your computer. Sorry, I'm gonna go ahead and get this. Whoa, did that whole circle just vanish there? Oh, fun stuff. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on here. Looks cool though. Was that some Star Trek Enterprise shape going on right there? Rotate, put this on. There we go. Put that back. Sweet. And that same thing that we did before, we use that lighten blend mode. And we're going to do that same thing here because we want to get rid of the weird looking, kind of the oddness of that. It looks kind of odd to me. And I'm going to have to obviously change the shape of this because it's much smaller. So if I bring the height down, and I'll go ahead and place a light one, and I have to put it, make sure it's on top. There we go. And I'm going to do it to every single spot where there's line work. Go ahead and rotate it. There we go. Looks good on that one. I think this one. There we go. Much better. Okay, one more. Sweet. And I got to figure out also how they're going to get in here. So I can use some staircases or use a gate. Lots of cool options that I can use for that. So that'll be fun. Okay. Let me also check my group. I'm going to go outer hedge. Open that up. And I think there's a small yellow building in there. Perfect. Copy and get rid of that from the group. I don't want that in there, but the group's somewhere else. Okay, here we go. So there's a house here. We want to make sure we keep that for scale. Go ahead and recenter this to make sure it's right. Okay. Now that I'm done with that, I can probably go in and start throwing in some flowers and stuff. So that'll be fun. Let's go in and do our rows of flowers. So there should be a bunch of flower beds right here. We're going to open it up. I'm going to go ahead and select one. I'm going to get the feel for the size first. Let's go with 100%. And what you can do is just create a series of rows, or you can place it within a hedge. So if I take, let's say, this one, and I'll go ahead and place one on each corner like this. So I'll rotate. And to make sure that they're the same in each corner, I can just go in and just copy, paste. Go down here, rotate, put it right against there like that. And if it seems off, I can go in and just change it. So we're slowly putting it together. Yeah, you can also, if you're having trouble seeing it in other maps, you can clear your internet cache. Okay? Sometimes that happens when you don't clear your cache. So clear your internet cache if you're seeing that the stamps don't show up on other maps. Okay? Easy, easy fix. Okay. Corner's looking good. I think at this point now, what I want to do is create some space to fill in. So if I place 3 of these, now I have space in between to fill in with whatever I want. It could be flowers, it could be bushes, it could be statues, there could be fountains. There's so many different options to choose from. But first, I'm just going to go ahead and take each one of these. And you see that I have this nice space, negative space to work with. And now I can go ahead and get rid of my sketch. I don't really need it anymore. It helped. Or if you don't want to get rid of it, you can just change the opacity all the way to 0 and it's completely gone. But just make sure you remember to lock it of course, so that way you don't lose your sketch. Okay, this looks good. Move this in a little bit more here. Just want to make sure that they're lined up properly. If you feel like you're having a hard time lining things up, just turn on the grid. And if you go ahead and show, oopsie, I'm using this grid right here as the line work. That won't work. You can use paths or whatever. Gardens, parks, and green spaces really help a map to feel lived in. Agreed, absolutely. Let's go ahead, and I think this isn't perfectly centered, but we're getting close. Let's go ahead and select this whole thing, center it a little bit more. So I have a building here, and I'm going to put some buildings in this garden. I can put some buildings on the outside because maybe the garden needs caretakers, right? There's going to be people who are trimming the hedges. There are people who are taking care of this and taking care of that. So there's a lot of things going on, and we might want to throw in some waterworks as well. Like we can make entire fountains be here if we wanted to. So I could take, for instance, I could take the shape tool right here. Let's say I want to put some pools right here. I can go in with the subtract. Oops, it's not subtracting. Let me try again. Is it with the add mode? Oh, there we go, the add mode. My mistake. Ooh, those lines are thick. Not caring for that. So we'll go into our mask settings and really bring that stroke back down because it just doesn't look good. There we go, much better. Now don't get rid of that shape because you want to continue to use it. So if I go add like this, and of course I'm going to want to rotate it as well. You want to keep this shape. So this way, when you add it, you don't lose it. And this also helps with helping me to figure out how things are centered as well. So that's also really useful. I'm going to go up here, do this one. And if you make a mistake, that's okay. It's bound to happen, trust me. All right, we're almost there. Make sure I got the rotation right. I'm going to paint those in blue as you would expect with water, right? So now I have some water. Okay, and of course I'm going to fix this. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these two and put something else there, like maybe that's where the main walkway is, a gate, maybe a gate on the other side up top. Awesome. Oh, it worked. Great, Dude Spark. Love to hear that. So let's go ahead now and paint. I'll just take this blue. It's set to the FG layer. Turn that softness off. And I'll just go right over it. Oh, not that color. What's going on there? There we go. So now I have some water in my park. It's always nice to add water features. They work great. If you don't like that black line, you could absolutely line it with some kind of wall. And that way it kind of looks like it's bricked in. That's fine if you want to do that. The black line also works fine. It's up to you how you want to go about that. So now I want to create some kind of entrance to it. So we can start adding in some details, and I'll also throw in some fences as well. So let's add in a gate. I think there is an arch. Let me type that in. Make sure I remember it correctly. Ah, there's an arch right there. Perfect. So I can put an arch if I want. Make it big, because it's the entrance to a park, so it's going to be kind of grand, right? So I could put the arch right there. I could put the arch right here instead if I wanted to. Up to you how you want to go about doing it. We could also throw in some stairs if we wanted to. Whenever I think of an entrance to something like a park, I do think of Grandoy's entrance, right? So I'll throw in stairs as well just to give it a sense of height. So I think there are some circular stairs. Let me expand all. So that way I can see all my stair options. There we are, perfect right here, these curved stairs. Now I want to make sure that I go in and look at other staircases in the map because we do want to be very careful that I keep some continuity in size. So if I look carefully at this size right here, these are set to size 40. This is 70, so I'll go to 40. There we go. So now the stairs are at the right size. Now I can go back down here, and the look I'm kind of going for is to pretend that there is these circular stairs leading up to this archway. So I'll just copy, paste, rotate it. So I have this nice kind of staircase, and I can even put it on the other side as well. So you're kind of going up onto like maybe there's like kind of a dais there. So you walk up into the dais, and for all you know, these are so big that you could even have maybe some kind of interior structure on each pillar on the side. That's where the arch is on each the left and the right. So you could do that. Lots of different options. Maybe that's a ticket booth or something like that. So if you want to go in, it's up to you how you want to go about doing that. Let's just keep, I think this is still not quite centered. Getting close. There we go. All right. Now, instead of putting an entrance at the top here, I could put like a statue, or I could take another hedge and put it right here. Let's rotate it so they're not all the same as well, because I'm kind of noticing that. So I'll rotate these 90 degrees each, so that way they're not exactly the same. There we go. Looks a little bit better. Now there's some varying shapes, so that looks nice. I'm okay with that. So now we can go ahead and throw in some trees and stuff. So let's go ahead and type in tree, and then we'll do some texturing, and then we're going to be all done. So let the tree pop up, and I'm going to think what kind of tree I want to put into my corners. I think conifers are perfect. They're a larger tree. They're taller. So if you're thinking about it from ground level, looking at it, you have these 4 tall trees that are in the corner of each of the map, and that way it kind of looks like they're kind of almost framing it a little bit. And you can even throw trees going around the outside, some taller trees on the outside of that outer hedge, to make it look like it's a wall that kind of encases the garden. That way you're not looking at any taller buildings or anything that kind of get in the way. So it's a nice, somewhat sequestered kind of garden. So I'll go ahead and take the same one. I think they're all around the same size. Let me just scroll through it. Yeah, they're all roughly the same size, but I'll throw one on each corner. I'm going to rotate each time. I think I set to random rotate already, so it should do that for me. And so you have these tall hedges on each corner, so that works well. Then I can go in, and if I want, I can take some fountains maybe, and it might even be a good idea to put the fountain in the actual pools. As you know, some pools have fountains, so we can do that. These fountains right here might work well. Oh, yes, you should always. I love that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take a fountain. I'm going to scale it down so it fits inside of it. And I'm going to turn off any shadows. I don't want any shadows. I'm just going to copy and paste and place each one in the center, so it kind of looks like there is a fountain in the center of these pools, as you would kind of expect, right? And I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste each one and rotate them, and I can center them as I go. Got to put that armor on your daises, you know what I'm saying? That is how you dais do it. Okay, that was lame. Don't do it, Maddie, don't do it. You're just hurting yourself. Yes, I know. Copy, paste, I'll put them on here. Sweet. I like this garden. It's looking cool so far. Go ahead and copy and paste this one. The beauty of copy and paste, let me tell you, it's going to be a lifesaver, folks. Okay, let's take a step back and just see how it looks. So far, so good. I'm really liking that. That looks good. Cool. All right. Now let's go ahead and throw in a statue. I think statues are always nice. Oh, there's some nice elven fountains too. Look at how slick those are. Those are cool. Let's type in statue and just see what our options are. Let's just, here we go, statue. Oop, don't need to have custom stamps on. Statues. Some snowy ones. Oh, let's go with this one right here. I like this one. Let's put it 100%. So I could put a statue right here. I could put an obelisk right there. There's a lot of different options. Let's go ahead and for now just put this statue for now. I think that will look nice. Okay. Oh, yeah. Ooh, benches by waterside. You know I dig. Let's go ahead and maybe move this one into the corner here. I'm going to bring the scale down a little bit, and we'll go ahead and put one in each corner as well. So we're going to keep going. We're going with the symmetry, but what's really nice with symmetry is to throw in an element that's asymmetrical. So we'll throw in one asymmetrical element to break that in. That's right, your assassins are going to hide behind the weapon stands. A perfect place to hide too, right? You can just grab a weapon and whack, just get them. Okay, all right, this looks good so far. I think what I should do though is probably throw down a clipping mask. I think, because we do want to create an entrance leading into this circle and entrances leading into these circles as well, I think. I'm also going to select this whole thing because I am noticing it's still not centered, of course. Love that. Move it just a little bit more. I think just making sure the distances look right. Okay. All right. This is a huge garden, by the way. Absolutely massive. Pretty huge. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and just use clipping masks to create entrances, or I can just use a larger arch and just make a smaller one and put one on each kind of corner, like on the top, like this if I want to, or I can use a clipping mask. The clipping mask works just fine. I can show you that one. I'll go in and just type in clip. Now there are two types of clipping masks. One's a smooth edge, one's a more flatter edge. And so I'll go ahead and place this down. Make sure that it's on top. It's going to be blue at first. Don't worry about that. We're going to fix that. We're going to go in first and paint in the proper color. I think it's this one. We'll just test it. Make sure I'm set to FG. Yep, that looks fine. And I'm just going to paint this because I accidentally put these on different. I reversed it. I have the add mode of the mask tool as the water and not the subtract mode. Oopsie. Don't make these mistakes, folks. Don't be like Maddie, okay? I'm gonna copy and paste. Oopsie, not that. The clipping mask. What's going on here? Copy, paste. And if I want, I can go ahead and make sure that there are entrances to each corner. Like this. Kind of creating a kind of a cross shape. And I'm gonna go ahead and select every single one of these clipping masks. And that way I can just copy and paste. And just paste them, put them right on top, and I can just repaint. This way I don't have to delete a bunch of stamps to try to create the entrance. And if you don't like that it's fuzzy on the edge, don't worry about that. I'm going to show you how to fix that too. All right, now to go ahead and paint the edges that I missed. So this blue one here, this one here, this one, and these ones. There we go. All right, so now I have some nice openings there so people can walk into those sections. And now I'm just going to go ahead and take a regular bush and I'm going to cap the clipping mask edges so that way it doesn't look like there's a soft edge. Because when you're looking in closely, you're going to notice that there's no black line work there. That's not a problem. We'll just place a bush right on top of that on each corner. And it's okay if it's set to random. And it's also going to decorate it just a little bit more by doing that. I'll make sure I select every single one of these. And I think there's a layer shadow on. We need to turn that off. Working in 2K makes it a little bit blurrier. So I copy and paste each one of those. Now I can go in. Oopsie, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to grab these little bushes and it didn't work. Why can't I grab my bushes? Gosh. Dang bushes. There we go. All right, sweet. And I'm just capping them all, remember? Just like that. And I can go to the next one. Dang rascally bushes. It's out of control, I tell you. Okay, where are we at for time? 45? We're close. We're almost done. I like that so far. So it kind of creates this nice kind of place that people can walk in because you see how big a building is. So a person is absolutely tiny. So there's lots of space, right? And we're going to go ahead and put a few buildings up by the entrance as well because we're going to create the caretaker's house, maybe the major caretaker, and then maybe some sheds for tools and stuff like that. You can even put a shed maybe inside as well. You can hide it behind some hedges, put it in a bush. Let's just go ahead and delete this and we'll go ahead and pick one. I think there's these nice wooden ones that I like to use. I think it'll work just fine as a shed. Let's take a look here in the oh, there it is right there. I found it. Right there, perfect. And we're going to use one of these to kind of represent a shed. And if you don't want that shed to look like it's kind of in the way, you can put it somewhere where people can't really find it. You can put a shed right here for some tools. And instead of walking to that same location, you can put a couple sheds in other locations as well. Maybe we'll put one right here at the end of here. And then we'll put another one, since that's close to that entrance, we'll put another one right here. Now these sheds are so that the people, these workers will have tools, obviously, of course, and they don't have to walk all around the park because it looks like it is massive. It'll take forever, but big is good, right? That's good. And I'm also going to just copy and paste and use this again. Put this on top so that way there's just, and I'm only going to maybe put one on each. I think put one on each side like this. And then I'll probably create a staircase going down so it'll look like this central circle part is actually down a little bit. And then we can maybe put in an oblong pond, a weird looking shape, because sometimes symmetry looks too weird, right? And so what's nice to do is to throw in one asymmetrical element. And what that's going to do is it's going to highlight more of the symmetry, but it will also highlight the asymmetrical element. And that will look really interesting. So I absolutely want to make sure that I do that. And I think I can even delete these smaller, lighter ones that I was using. I don't think I'm going to need them now because I put those there, right? So we're going to make sure to create an oblong looking pond. We'll use that circle shape. We're going with the add mode. And of course, we're going to bring the size down. We'll create kind of a kidney bean shaped pond. So I'll put one maybe right here like this. It's quite a large pond. And we can put in boats. We can put in a little dock. We can put in whatever we want. Lots of options, right? So there's that. Let's go ahead and go switch over to our blue, of course, for the pond. There we go. If the line work is too thick, again, don't worry. You can just go in and bring it down some more. Let's just do a little bit more. Because that line work is primo thick, a little too thick. Don't like my lines that thick, okay? Let's go to the smallest one. There we go. All right. I think that'll work. Not completely gone. Just one. Okay, there you go. A little bit smaller. So now you have this oblong pond. I think maybe I can put it more into a corner. I'm not sure, but maybe this will work. Okay. Now I can go in and maybe place some more fountains. I can put in some other trees. Maybe I want to put put a tree in each one of those circular ones. So I'll type in tree again real quick. Where are we at for time? 48? Okay. We're still good. I'm going to go ahead and take a tree. I'm going to put the same tree and make sure it's set to random rotate, which it already is. So that makes it perfect. So a tree in the center of these. So you're walking around this kind of unique tree. And the last thing that I want to do is see if maybe I can decorate these trees. Do we have flowers? Let me check. We do not. Okay. So I'm going to have some real fun. I'm going to do some interesting creative part here. I know it's going to take a little bit more time, but this will be fun. Let me go back to tree. In fact, a bush would work better. Ah, perfect. Now I'm going to take this bush and I'm going to change the hue. I'm going to make it a flower. So let's go ahead and boost the saturation and pick a color that I want. I think actually white would work really well. So what I'll do is I'll boost this up so I get this nice bright white, and then I can bring down the size really small, go up a layer, and I can just randomly place some white on top of there. Let me make sure that, okay, cool. That should work. Now I'm going to do each one. So it's going to make it look like that maybe it's a cottonwood, or maybe there's some white flowers or blooms growing on this tree. And white's a good color because it's white against green. So the white will pop out against that kind of darker green. We'll place a couple there. And you can even change it to the colors if you want. You could change it to red. It could have maybe red blooms. It could be a dogwood. It could be whatever you want, right? So it's just adding a little extra to make that nice. So we're getting there. If this is a port town, we need a shrine to Cthulhu. I absolutely agree with that 100%. And if anyone disagrees with that, I will probably do nothing about it. But you should agree. All right. Let's take a look. Looking good so far. You know, I'm digging this. So I think what we can also do is take that same bush that we used, and I can go in and kind of create a line this a little bit. I'm going to go in, and I think we're going to increase the density. So you see the distance between those bushes was a lot. So I'll increase the density, bring it up a little bit. I'm going to do a test drag just to see how close they are. I like that. That's a lot better. Let's go up to 45, I think is a good size. And then I'm just going to drag. And I don't think those are close enough. I want to make them even closer than that. Let's bring the density all the way up. There we go. Now the beauty of this is if I go over to select, the select tool, those things are selected. So now I can go in and group, copy, paste it, rotate. Remember the trick, copy, paste. And I can just put each one against each corner like this. So that's it. Is it Cthulhu or Cthulhu? Cthulhu. I don't, Chulu, I don't know. What is it? Help me. All right, here we go. We're almost there. Sweet. All right, so we've added just an extra layer of hedge work there, so that's kind of nice. And we can clearly line some of the lake too, right? With some of the hedges, not the whole thing, but some of it, right? Just throw in a couple there, one here. Don't forget, we're going to throw in a dock and a thing, and we're going to want to put, I think, some benches. Someone mentioned benches. So I love that idea, and so I'm not going to say no to that. So some benches. Let's use some metal looking ones. So we can put some benches along the lake, and then we're going to put a path as well so people to walk, and then they can stop at each bench and take a look. We can even have like a sequestered kind of section too, where you have a bench, and then we can line it with some trees to kind of make it feel like it's a little sequestered. So I like that idea. So we have benches along here, so you can go to each one. And then let's also put in a dock. And I think this stamp set right here has one that kind of reminds me of a dock, this one right here. So we can go ahead and place it right here. And the reason why I'm putting it on this side is because there's a little bit more space. What I'm aiming for is that I need space for people to stack their boats, right? So you have this nice open space here, and then I can go ahead and throw on a boat. Remember, it's not, we don't have to throw in a sailing ship. We're throwing in a boat, okay? I mean, hey, why not, right? Let's throw in a sailing ship. Is that going to work? Let's do it. We'll throw in a boat. Of course, put a couple by the dock. And I know that the resolution is at 2K, so it looks a little blurry, but that's okay. All right, so we got a couple boats in there. Well, we had a couple. Now we lost one. There we go. So we got some boats in there. That looks good. All right, let me take a look. All right. Dock works. That looks good. And let's go ahead and throw in some more benches, of course. Actually, let's go ahead and do our path. Let's do our roads now real quick. So I'm going to make sure I select this one. And I'm going to also switch over to segments. And I'm switching over to segments because I want my lines to be a little bit straighter. So what I'll do is I'll start at one point. Start at this next point here, here, and here. There we go. And I can move those if I need to. Now let's also make sure that we have the roads that kind of lead into here as well. So we have that one. Oh, it didn't show. That was weird. Let me make sure that I have this right. just going to maneuver a little bit more to make sure that the paths are lined up with the bush. There we go, looks good. All right, and I do want a central walkway kind of leading into here. And then I'm going to also line my roads, or line the paths with bushes as well. And then we'll be nearly done. Now I just need to connect the road this way. So I'll go ahead and just use the segment section. All right. Down this way. Oopsie. Right about there. Here. And then right there. There we go. So those are connected. Perfect. And I'm also going to make sure, oopsie, what happened there? There we go. I'm also going to make sure to connect the path here as well. We're almost there, folks. All right, getting close. All right, so now we have some roads there. Now we got to go in and paint stuff as well. So I'll go in and I'm going to choose a nice green color. And I can go in and make sure it's set to BG. And I'm going to go in with that square brush. And I can go in and just do this whole section if I want, or fill in the whole thing. Let's just go like this, the whole thing. I'm going to make sure that my roads don't get affected by this. So let me first apply, press enter. The whole thing's green, and it makes the white pop, makes the roads pop out better. Much, much better. Oh, I like that. That looks just fine. Okay, now we get the last things that we want to do is probably go ahead and line our roads with some bushes. So I'll go down with a small size. And I'm not going to worry too much about them being perfectly close to each other. What I like is a little bit of distance between them. I think that would be kind of nice. So now I'm just going to line, just like I'm just going to line every single edge. And then we'll step out and we'll take a look if we need to add more. Okay. Okay, let me take a step back just to make sure. And it's okay. I think it's even okay if some of the bushes aren't perfectly straight. That's all right. You can always just change them manually if you want to. Or you can create a series of a bunch of straight ones and then line them together. But that might look a little too unnatural. So personally, I'm just going to go with this method for now. I am using a pen, but I can go ahead and use a mouse if you'd like. Using a mouse feels about the same. Okay. All right. We're getting there. I do like making the gardens. All right, looking good. Where are we at for time? Sweet. We're almost done, folks. Okay. Oh yeah, this is looking cool. I'm digging it. A drawing tablet, Brittles. I'm using a Cintiq. It works very, very well. They're very expensive, but you know, I can totally recommend to you a Huion. They have some affordable ones and good ones that work really pretty well, I would say. You know, the only difference with the Cintiq is just the monitor is a lot bigger and the pressure sensitive is just a little bit different. But I mean, having one in general is really helpful when you're doing things like painting, creating a road, lots of different things. Right here I'm using it to drag because it's just easier in my opinion to use it, but I don't use a tablet for every single thing that I do. A lot of the times what happens is I end up using the mouse for about 90% of most things because it's kind of a pain to use the mouse to navigate the UI, that's the user interface. So going through the tools and stuff, that can be kind of a pain. So using a mouse to navigate is what you're going to end up doing it if you have a tablet. You probably won't use the pen to navigate the UI, but most certainly you'll use the mouse for that. So I would say that if you want to have better curves with making rivers or making roads or painting a little bit with a little bit more precision, your tablet is going to be preferable. It's going to be nice. If you don't have one, that's okay too. I've used a mouse before. The only difference is that if you are going to do a level of detail with the mouse with painting, is it might just take a little bit longer because the precision is different. It's really up to you. And I went ahead also and lined each one of the lakes, or not lakes, I'm sorry, but these kind of pools right here. So I've done that. And then the last bit is just to throw down some lights, of course. So we'll about 10 more minutes and then we'll be done with this. I'm also going to, don't forget to create the path for have what I'm calling negative space just means where there's no stamps, okay? You want to have, just want to define my terms real quickly first. You want to have negative space because the negative space is what gives contrast to what I'm calling positive space. Positive space just means wherever there are stamps, okay? So that's it. You just want to make sure that you want to make sure that you have some negative space, because too much positive space creates clutter and it might not look good, okay? So the last thing that I'm going to do real quick is just go and paint in what's called ambient occlusion. I'm going to go ahead and use this same green color right here, or I can just use a darker green. This should work just fine. And then I can go in with a circle brush, make sure that I have softness all the way up, bring the opacity down just a little bit. We'll do a test stroke. And what ambient occlusion is going to do is create a sense of depth. So I'll go in, make sure I'm set to BG, and I'm just going to paint this darker color at the base of the hedge here. And it's going to create a bit of a darker color right here. And that's what I want. There we go, like this. And I'm probably going to do it to all of the tall hedges. So with this one, we'll also do up here as well, all the way against this side. There you go. And then we'll go in underneath these hedges as well. We'll do the whole thing, just go around the whole thing like this. There we go. That works. And I'm going to use the same, I'm going to use that texture as well. Let's bring the size down. And underneath where I put my hedges, I'm also going to create just a very slight kind of bevel effect with green that's going to go around, and this is going to cause kind of an interesting looking effect. So real quick, it's going to take a few moments. I like to do what's called blending your stamps in, and so by putting this darker green underneath, first it kind of creates an ambient occlusion look underneath your bushes, but it also creates, again, that kind of dark bevel outline. And it kind of gives it a kind of framing quality that I think is kind of interesting. And of course, you don't have to do this. And really, just how much detail you want to put into it is up to you. Like, how much detail do you want to put into it? Do you want to create a whole bunch of different details? Do you want to... maybe you want some living topiary, which is a plant shaped in the shape of like an animal. You know, you can create living topiary that maybe chases you around the garden if it's like a horror setting, right? Maybe you want to create a vine that's living and grabbing you, and or maybe there's a creature in the pond. You know, all kinds of fun things if you want to have a little bit more character to that. And then the last thing that I can mention, I'm going to throw in just a little bit more details. I know I love to get carried away. All of you know how much I love to get carried away. I'm going to go into filters. I'm going to go with boosting the saturation a little bit and boosting the brightness. And we're going to create the illusion of like a lawn that's been made. So I'll go in like this and just create some stripes. like this, or I can go in and have them go another way. It's up to you. I don't know if you've ever seen how when a lawn gets mowed, it kind of has these kind of stripe shapes to it. So if I just go like this, I can kind of create some shape in here, like this. Oh yeah, we won't forget about park lights. Don't worry, we will do that. And it doesn't have to all be the same direction. If we want, we can maybe just make this one go this way. If you want, up to you. Oh yeah, we're gonna put park lights in, don't worry. My bad, thanks for the reminder. So we'll just throw in a couple of these. There you go, and it's gonna highlight, because now it kind of has this brighter color to it, and it's gonna give some kind of shape or interesting kind of design to the overall aesthetic. So up to you how you wanna go about doing it. I'll put these in real quick, we'll put in lights, and then we're done. Sweet. Straight up and down doesn't look right, but we'll go ahead and do angled like this. But you get the general idea. You could also do this with paths, just to let you know, and this way you could just copy and paste them. I'm doing painting, but you could do it with paths as well. Just go ahead and change that blend mode to pick a light green color, change the blend mode to overlay, and then just slap them down. All right. There we go, looks good. I'm cool with that. I can even throw some in here like this if I wanted to. It's just to give a little bit more texture to your grassy areas, okay? Gotta love that grass. All right, we're at 467 changes. Yikes, breaking my own rules. Let's go ahead and put in those lamps, okay? Now, when I think of lamps, for me personally, I think about where I'd find them. I think that the entrance needs to be lit up. Sections of the path need to be lit up. Depends on when closing hours are, okay? All right. Yeah, let's go ahead and throw in some lamps. I love that idea. So I should be able to type in lamp. I think there should be them in there. Oh, you know, I like these fancy lampposts. That looks pretty spicy. Oh, wait a minute. This one right here. Oh, I like that one too. Let's go with this one. Now they're kind of small, so they're going to be hard to see, especially in your 2K. I'm going to put one on each corner where the staircases meets the arch, and then we'll put a light source on top of that. So the entrance should be lit up, of course. And if we want, we can even put some on each corner here. If we wish, we could do that as well. Let's use a smaller one. These are kind of huge. Once this gets saved in 4K, it'll be a little bit better to see. But unfortunately, with 2K and just the way things are kind of going right now, I have to use 2K. All right, so I'm putting one in each corner like this because I still want that entrance to be kind of grandiose, right? Okay, let's put one. Make sure they're lined up properly in each corner. Looks good. One right there, one right there. Okay. See, did that get scaled up? Scaled down a little bit? I think it did. Oh, wow. Well, we'll bring those back up to 24. There we go. This is kind of the hard part. Let me go ahead and select every single lamp. Turn all these up. I'm going to turn the object shadows off. There we go. Now we can take some light sources. Now it's daytime, so really you don't need to have lamps or a light source on right now. But if it was nighttime, we could totally throw in some light sources just to show what they look like. So I'll type in light, and then it should pop up. Yeah, no kidding. Right. All right, here we go. All right, so now I have a light source with the smallest one, and I'm going to put it above, of course. So let's put one on top here, one right here. Personally, I don't think the light sources look as interesting during the day. I think light sources at night look so much more interesting, just my opinion. Put one there, and we'll put one on each lamp as well. And then what I'll do is I'll copy and paste a lamp with a light, and then I can just move them around and place them where I want them instead of placing all the lamps and placing all the lights, that will be a pain. So I'll just group, I'm going to copy paste, and then I can go in and throw those lamps wherever I want them. So I can put one right here, and you know, maybe lining up the main causeways, the main walkways would be a good idea. So we'll put them there, we'll put some over here as well. I'll go ahead and delete these corner hedges and then throw in the lamps. Okay, so when you put a light source on and it's nighttime, you want to make sure that your light source or your light is on layer 5, because what happens with the night filter is that if you have the night filter above whatever the lamp is, if it's on layer, let's say you have a light on layer 4 and you have the night filter on layer 5, that's going to be problematic, right? So you're probably going to want to make sure that your light is on layer 5 and then put your night filter on layer 4. Of course, when you're going to do that, you want to group every single thing on your map first, and then make sure that everything on the map, besides your light sources, don't group your light sources, group everything on the map first, make sure it's on a layer 3, put your night filter on layer 4, and then put your light source on layer 5. So that way your light source is not diminished by your filter, okay? Always important to remember that. We're going to go ahead and throw in some in this corner as well. We're going to put them in each corner. So I'll go ahead and copy and paste. One here, one there. Here a lamp, there a lamp, everywhere a lamp, lamp. All right. All right, we're getting there. Sweet. 15 minutes over, and that's it, because this is it. All right, awesome. Yeah, this looks good. I am digging it. I am digging it. I like these nice shorter streams. People got things to do. Okay, let's throw in the last lamps. We're gonna take a look at it. Oopsie, that one just kind of vanished. Well, that isn't gonna do no good. I don't think it vanished. I think that's a bug, and I know how to fix that, I think. All right. There we go. Let me just take a step out. Technically, I could put a lamp in each corner as well. I think that would also make it look a little nicer. Just throw in a random lamp in the corner because I want to create a little bit more light sources for at night. I don't know. Put one more up here. Let me just take a step back and just take a look at that. Yeah, I like it better with the light sources in the corner. And of course, the light sources here. Yeah, this is good. Now, there's so much more we could do, but I think this is it. I think that's it. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and call it good. I think this worked out really good. The last thing that I might do is to make sure that this part right here is dark green. I think. Press enter. There we go. Much better. All right. Much, much better. Cool. And to make the statue pop out more, let's make it a little bit brighter. Perfect. There we go. All right. Well, I think that's it. That's a symmetrical garden with a nice pond, a nice path going around it. We've got some trees with some various things on it. So I think overall, this looks pretty good. We've added in, made sure that there's tool sheds scattered throughout. There are benches for people to sit. We could have probably thrown in a lot more, but I think overall this gets the general idea across. And this is just for symmetrical ones. Of course, asymmetry, also there's some parks that are completely asymmetrical. And you know, the way to do that is just to that shape of that pond that I made. Look at that shape of that pond. Make your park also in that similar shape, kind of a kidney shape, because it's kind of a nice shape. And then you can line it with trees and throw in a bunch of other stuff. So that is how I would go about doing a park. Well, hey, I think it turned out really good, and I'm glad that you were all able to make it. I'm not going to do a Q&A because I think the questions were answered throughout the stream. But hey, don't forget to go ahead and join our Discord. Make sure that you go get that Inkarnator role first so you can see all the channels on our Discord server. If you have requests for streams, feel free to go to our stream request channel in our Discord and make a request. And I just want to remind you, for those who weren't here for the beginning for announcements, I am going to be doing one stream per week on Wednesdays, 10 a.m. PST. This will make sure that the streams are a little bit more planned out. They won't be quite as long. And of course, that'll give me time to make more time lapses and shorter clip videos so that way you can get a little bit more diversity in your content, because not everyone has time to make sure to watch a stream for an hour or two, right? So we're going to cut down the amount of streams per week and maybe down a little bit of the length as well. If you don't like that, well, then go ahead and leave comments. Go on our YouTube channel. I can go ahead and throw in a poll. I just want to read what people want and what people need, because I think a lot of people would like some shorter stuff. So we'll be doing that. And I'll also be sure next week to make another block. So next week we can do Parliament, we can do a market, we can do a dockyard. Personally, I think a dockyard would be really fun. So let's go ahead and do the dockyard next month. I'm super excited about that. So hey, thank you everybody for being here. Really appreciate it. We have one stream tomorrow, the 23rd, Thursday, 10 a.m. PST. We're going to show you how to make guilds and shops exteriors with the fantasy battle map style. I'm excited about that. All right. Well, hey, thank you everyone for making it. Really enjoyed making this park with you all. Please stay safe and healthy.